Now, the rest of the story. Dr. Stanley H. Biber, Trinidad, Colorado, may have done more transsexual surgery than anyone, anywhere. Men seeking through surgery to become women may seem strange and new to you, but Dr. Biber has seen it all. At least until a few years ago when John walked into his office. The case Stan Biber will never forget is the rest of the story. Now, John is not the patient's real name, but for the sake of discretion, his name is John. That very first interview, Dr. Biber asked why the young man felt that he needed transsexual surgery, and the answer was, because I regard myself as physically deformed. I have male sex organs, and I don't know what to tell my boyfriend. Dr. Biber blinked and then suggested John begin at the beginning. Apparently, John had always thought of himself as a girl. His earliest recollections were of sneaking off to try on Mommy's shoes or whatever other feminine attire he could get his hands on. His greatest worry was that one of his two brothers would discover what he was up to. That would have been an intolerable humiliation, so John kept his femininity a secret. He never did like playing ball or shooting marbles with the other boys in school, preferring instead to spend his time among the girls. He even invented a girl's name for himself, known only to himself. For should any of his fantasies become known to his two brothers, it would surely spell disaster. Well, in time, John's secret sexuality involved crushes on other schoolboys. Finally, the contradiction of what John was and what he was supposed to be became too much for him, and he knew what he had to do. After high school, he must move far away from home and simply disappear and happily re-emerge as a woman, and he did. As a transvestite at first, that's a man who simply dresses like a female. Thank goodness he thought that his two brothers could not see him now. But then John fell in love with a man, and the man did not know. And so John now wanted actually to become a woman through surgery. And that's when he looked up and got acquainted with Dr. Stanley H. Biber, Trinidad, Colorado. Dr. Biber agreed to perform the necessary operations. The operations were successful, and today John is happily married. But one thing that he could not prevent was his two brothers finding out. And when they did, they told John the rest of the story. That all those years, while he was secretly dressing up like a girl, so were they. Each of the three boys, equally fearful that the other two would find out, and thus did their adult lives parallel, separately, secretly, until Dr. Biber gave them all transsexual surgery, and they all got married, and they all lived happily, as the only three brothers in history who eventually became three sisters. And now you know the rest of the story.